Well, hello there and welcome back. This is episode 45 of my Minecraft 1.15 Let's Play. I've got some new items to cross off my list here. As I said in my last episode, Asta came by and dropped off a shulker box full of ominous banners. Now, I didn't actually have these on the list here, but I think these should still count, even though they're technically just a regular banner. I think they're kind of a special banner, so I will add these to the list. That said, I'm probably going to throw these away because these are largely useless. I might keep a few stacks for decoration and stuff like that, but the rest of these are probably going to just go in the garbage. And then I went and grabbed some extra saddles. I had over a shulker box of saddles from basically episode 1 and 2 when I did a bunch of fishing, and I probably had like up to here in saddles. I just needed to grab the rest. It's actually pretty easy to get a shulker box full of saddles, just nobody really ever bothers to, because after you reach a certain point you just start throwing them away. So I had to go and grab the rest to fill up a shulker box full of saddles, and then I did a whole bunch of grinding over the course. It only took me one day. I was really surprised. It didn't take me nearly as long as I thought. It took me a few hours. I was doing trading. I was trading 4 different items. I was trading paper, books, iron, and gold so that I could trade all day without having to, wait for them to have a bunch of trade locked villagers. So basically, I just maximized my trading potential, and I managed to get a shulker. I was only up to a row here, and I managed to get the last 2 rows of blocks of emeralds. So that's pretty fancy, and I managed to beat Asta to it. To be fair, he did have to use his emeralds to create a bunch of equipment for himself, but still, I mean, that's pretty cool right there, so we'll knock that off the list as well. With these items now crossed off the list, with the exception of fish up here, most of the items still left on the list are actually going to be pretty hard to gather. Some of them just require farms, like the phantom membranes and the tridents and the music disc. Shouldn't be too hard, but the rest of these are actually going to be pretty difficult. I'm actually pretty close to the nether stars. We'll talk about that shortly. I've been working on shulker shells on and off for the last little bit, and diamond blocks, I've got an idea for that, but one of the hardest items still up here is that right there, and that one's going to be really hard. Now, I was originally going to just use the same basic method as the shulker shell shucker of duping elder guardians by sending them through the end portal. That's not going to work anymore, so we're going to have to go with a manual method for getting a bunch of sponges, and I'm still not going to give up on this. I've actually have an idea that I think might work. So I'm going to use the same basic concept that I've used to raid ocean monuments very quickly in the past, but this time I'm going to turn it up to 11. So we got our standard water breathing and night vision potions here. And I've got a bunch of slime blocks, TNT, and redstone blocks, and that'll help me get into the building very quickly. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to get all the Elder Guardians as quickly as possible, and then I'm going to search just one spot to see if it has a sponge room, because it's a very common location, and if it doesn't have a sponge room, I'm just going to move on to the next one. With the TNT, redstone, and slime blocks, I can break into the specific points where the Elder Guardians are going to be, which are these two extensions right there, and then the dead middle. So you can use the slime blocks to protect the redstone. May have to get out of here fairly shortly. I do have potions of invisibility. Yeah, we're definitely got to get out of here. So it might be worth considering those. I brought them with me. I wasn't sure if I was going to use them or not, but it's something worth considering. I might want to try out, see which method works best. Basically, just kind of protect the redstone here. Slime can be knocked away with a single hit, and that should blow a hole. Let's heal up and go on down and kill the first Elder Guardian. Alright, there, he's dead. And I got 1 sponge just for doing that. So let's go kill the other 2. Alright, so now that I killed the last one, I've got a bucket of milk in my inventory here. I've actually got a whole shulker box full of buckets of milk. So that'll get rid of the mining fatigue. And also take away my night vision and water breathing, which is to be expected. So I'm going to check one point here. Well, technically a few points. So right around these corners, yep, sponge room, right there. I actually got really lucky here. And I'll check the other corners as well. But if there's not a sponge room in any of these locations, I'm just going to move on to the next Guardian Ocean Monument. But we got lucky here. This is nice. Alright, let's check the other sides as well. I don't believe there's ever a possibility there's going to be one right here. But we'll check it anyways. Yeah, so it looks like no. And then over on this side, same basic thing. Looks like no. Might as well check through this wall. Looks like no. And over on this side. And just move on. I'm not gonna waste a whole bunch of time just searching through this whole ocean monument. I'm just gonna move on. Alright, here's the next one right here. One thing I did forget to do is I forgot to swap over to a chest plate, which I think would be a really good idea. I actually felt quite a bit of the pain of all of that last time around. So let's of course I don't have one. Oh, wonderful. Alright, well let's try invisibility then. Let's see how that works. I do need to be careful and keep my distance from these guardians. I think within a couple blocks they should still be able to see me. But as long as I stay far enough away from them, they shouldn't shoot me at all, which might help quite a bit. That one's getting a little close. We should just be able to break in. See, yeah, he can't see me at all. That's fantastic. I'm glad they fixed that. It used to be a bug that wouldn't work at all. Alright, let's see if we can get in here without them seeing me. Oh man, they're crowding the hole there. Let's just get down in there. And then hope we don't take too much damage from the thorns here. Might have to wait for him to... Yeah, let's find out. 1 heart, that's not too bad. Oh man, he's basically ignoring me. This is fantastic, actually. He can't even see me at all. This is... There he goes. Let's do the other two. Yeah, I think invisibility is definitely the way to go. Save me a lot of time with healing. I think it's a lot faster to just go with invisibility. So we've got the last of these guys dead. And we're all cured up. Nothing down on this one. Check these other sides. Sponge room. Getting really lucky here. Alright, so no more sponge rooms in the immediate vicinity in this ocean monument, so I'm going to move on to the next one. I'm going to try this for about an hour and see how well I do. My guess is it's going to end up taking about 60 to 80 guardian farms in order to do this. Ocean monuments, I don't know why I always call them guardian farms. Is this not working? There we go. So I am using the seed to try and find these things because, I mean, trying to find 60 to 80 of them by hand would take forever. So I think this is actually, you know, I mean, it's obviously a fairly grindy process, but I think it's going to be a lot faster than if I did this. If I actually scanned the entire ocean monument, I think you're going to get far fewer sponges per hour than if you just check that one spot and then just move on. So I did that for an hour. I ended up raiding 9 ocean monuments. I found 4 rooms in those monuments and ended up with 2 stacks and 13 wet sponges in an hour. So only 3 of the ocean monuments had rooms, but one of them actually had 2. If I had to guess, I'd say that's probably about average. So we could look to get about 2 stacks of wet sponges every hour. That's pretty decent. I think that's pretty manageable. I mean, it would take 13 and a half hours. I do already have quite a few sponges, so it won't take the full amount of time. But, you know, I think that's pretty manageable. I don't have to do it all at once. So we also got 64 wet sponges exactly from the first 2 ocean monuments that I rated that I was recording. And then there was one more ocean monument that was close to the last one. I ran over an hour, so I'm not counting it. But that actually ended up having 2 rooms as well. So I got 64 and 3 from that one. So we've got a total of 4 stacks and 16. And then the ones that I already had, I had slightly less than a stack here. So it looks like we're at about 5 stacks, give or take. So not too bad. Definitely has some more room to improvement. So that actually, I think that works pretty well. One of the slowest parts of the process is when you actually find a sponge room, because it takes quite a while for them to be mined down. When you find one that doesn't have a sponge room, you can raid that ocean monument in about 2 minutes, you know, plus flight time. It's pretty quick to find one that doesn't have a sponge room, and then it'll be faster to mine them when 1.16 comes out and there's actually a tool for sponges. So it should actually get even faster. This is a pretty fast process. I don't mind it at all. It is a little bit of an expensive process as far as the potions go. I definitely think invisibility was the way to go. I don't think guardians can see you at any distance. So not only is it a lot faster, it's actually a lot safer to just use invisibility potions. Just make sure that they never run out. And when you have to drink your milk, stand behind a pillar and then drink your invisibility potion first. It should be pretty safe. And I stopped using night vision potions because they're really not needed, and inventory clutter is a very real thing. So you can save yourself those. You definitely need water breathing though, and then definitely invisibility potions. I think that's a good way to go. But I mean, not everybody needs a full shulker box of sponges. So if you just wanted a couple of stacks, like maybe a row of each kind of potion, you could raid quite a few ocean monuments that way. So I've been AFKing on and off at my wither skeleton farm for the last few weeks, and I'm almost up. I'm getting closer to 2 shulker boxes full of wither skeleton skulls, and then I've already got almost a row of nether stars. So once I get just a little bit above 2 shulker boxes of wither skeleton skulls, I'm going to need to collect a bunch of soul sand, but then I should be able to get a shulker box full of nether stars. And then once I do that, I'm going to need 3 shulker boxes of obsidian in order to make these beacons here. So 3 shulker boxes of obsidian isn't too bad. I could mine that fairly easily, but Asta and I have a couple of projects in the work that have put 3 shulker boxes of obsidian to shame. We're looking at requiring, at the very least, tens of thousands of obsidian. So that's going to take a little more work than can be reasonably done by manually mining out end pillars. Now, new methods are coming to generate obsidian in 1.16 involving withers, and I will probably mess with some of those methods because I like doing that kind of stuff, but not everybody wants to mess with withers, and I totally get that. And also 1.16 isn't here yet, and I'd kind of like to get a jump start on that and maybe get some beacons. And Asta was showing me about a month or so ago some machines that he had developed. One was a flying machine that you would use to skirt across the nether lava beds and collect lava, and the other one was a AFK obsidian making machine. So it would spit those lava buckets into water, and then you would mine the obsidian, and you could do that AFK. Now, collecting lava is a lot faster. That's an active process. You do have to actively collect all the lava, but it's a lot faster than mining obsidian. So it does take longer technically, but the lava is the only part that has to be active, and you can just AFK the obsidian. I thought that was a really cool machine. Now, the problem that I saw is that nobody wants to cart around all those chests full of lava. So I'm like, hey, why don't we just spit it through the nether portal, and then right on the other side of that nether portal, set up the obsidian making machine. So we've been working on that project for the last few weeks, tweaking it, coming up with new ideas and stuff like that. And we've got it all ready to go. So let's make ourselves an obsidian making machine. So here's the location that we've picked for the lava collection flying machine. It doesn't look like much, but there is an awful lot of lava around us. So it goes out about 300 blocks in that direction, and then in that direction as well, we've got another 300 blocks. So we've got plenty of lava to collect, and it's actually kind of nice that we've got this dry land to set up the machine. So we got to dig a big hole, clear it out inside of there. I've got the nether mob switch on, but it doesn't support 2 full players. So once we get all this dug out, I'm going to have to leave the nether so that Asta can set up his flying machine, and then I'll go work on the other side on the actual obsidian making machine, and then that one's probably going to take a little longer. He's going to come over and help me. Portal we're going to use to send items through ended up being in the middle of an ocean, so I need to set up this building around it. So I'm going to have to set up, I got a conduit down there, I'm going to have to set up the building frame itself and then clear all that of water, because a lot of it's going to end up going under the water, and then I will set up the rest of the building as soon as I kill this guy here. Alright, so let's get to work on that. Unfortunately, near the end of that build, my client kept disconnecting and it corrupted the replay. But all we really missed out on was these smokestacks up here, which I think are a pretty cool accent. They don't do anything functional or anything like that. But this is the obsidian making building. If you notice from the replay, it's mostly just a whole bunch of chests. There's something like, I don't even remember the count. It was somewhere around 220 double chests back here because, you know, lava is unstackable. So you really want a lot of chests. So we've got that in spades. And then down in front, there are two of the obsidian makers so that both of us can AFK them at the same time. We'll show you how that works in just a little bit. We've got a cool little piston door here that lets us into the back side. And we can shut it from this side as well. And then we've got some storage for all the items. So the buckets all go into a loader here so we can take them back over the nether. And then the obsidian, we've already done a bit of it. We've got a row of obsidian so far just from testing it out. But that's where those would go into a loader over here. And so let's go on over to the nether side. So this is the nether side, and this clearing here is where Asta set up the flying machine. And he's already advanced it quite a bit because a lot of this was just ground anywhere, so there wasn't any lava there. So he's advanced it out to where it's just basically touching the lava. And then over here we've got a shulker box and loader for all the buckets. And then over here is where all the lava comes in, and that will feed into a dropper that spits it through the portal. And so over here we've got a chest with a whole bunch of buttons. We need buttons to advance the machine. And then I brought some extra chests so I can clear out my inventory. We want to keep food in our offhand, and I've also got a fire-resistant helmet. Fire resistance doesn't stack, so one piece of armor should help quite a bit. So let's grab a couple stacks of buttons here, and we'll come out onto the machine. And then over here we've got, here's a chain of buckets, so I'm going to grab 4 stacks of buckets. So the way it works best is if you grab 2 stacks at a time. And let's go ahead and advance the machine. So we just put a button right here, I believe. And that should advance the machine. Got to make sure you're standing still. Otherwise, you could actually fall through the whole machine. And if there's any lava underneath us, we want to go ahead and grab that. So I got 2 stacks full. That's most of my inventory right there. Go ahead and, this should actually probably be chest. We might have to lay out some chest on this. Not a big deal. And then go through and do it again. Just keep doing this until my inventory is full again. It's a pretty quick process, really. Alright, so I've collected quite a bit of lava here, so let's head on over to the overworld side and start mining some obsidian. Over here at the obsidian making machine, we've got an observer behind that last block of obsidian right there. And so when we crack it, it will dispense lava into the water and create 5 more blocks of obsidian. And it was harder than we thought to get that to work normally because it actually triggers 3 times, because it triggers when you break the last block of obsidian, it triggers when you push the lava out, and then it triggers again when the lava turns into obsidian. So it's easy enough to make something to deal with 2 observer triggers, but dealing with 3 is quite a bit harder. So we got a little bit of a delay clock up there that makes sure that it only triggers once when you fire that off. So we've got up here, it's a delay clock, so that makes sure it holds the signal for a good long while, so that these only trigger once each time. So that ended up working pretty well. And then we've got to do something with picks as well. So what we do here is we will fill our inventory like so, and then we turn this switch on right here, and the switch will dispense a pick every once in a while. It's every 10-20 seconds. It doesn't need to be super fast. So if we've run out of a pick, then we will pick that up and start using that one instead. So all we got to do is we stand right here, and if you hold down the button, we press F3 and T, and that'll reload the resource pack. This is a trick to make it so it'll hold down the button. I've released the button now, and now it's doing it on its own. So you can actually stand here in AFK. This is a safe area. We've made sure no mobs can spawn in the area to kill us. We might actually have to use food as well in our offhand if we were doing this for a long time. I'm just demonstrating it right now. I've managed to get a whole nother row of obsidian just from a short amount of lava collection, so that's pretty neat. I'm not saying it's the fastest thing in the world, but the fact that it's AFK-able, I think, is quite useful. We ended up making a small change here. We had an issue where the pickaxes were actually landing on the soul sand there, and then also the obsidian that we were cracking was landing in the hopper below us and then going through this chain, and both of them were kind of pretty big issues. So what we ended up doing, and this was Asta's idea, was putting bottles of enchanting up here in a dispenser. So just every minute or so, it dispenses out a bottle of enchanting to keep your pick nice and repaired. And I think that's actually going to end up being cheaper than all the pickaxes, because we were basically just wasting the pickaxes. So I think that's actually going to work pretty well. It's still a bit of a mess here. We're still trying to figure out the exact rate for all this, and we'll clean it up once we've got that figured out. All right, I've been putting it off for far too long. I think it's time to get back to work on my floating island. I think that's some pretty decent progress on the floating island. It does take quite a while to set all this up. It might not look like much, but that was about 6 hours worth of work right there. And then on top of setting up the floating island, I also tore out my old sugarcane farm because we built a much bigger and better one that will serve all our sugarcane needs. So I didn't need this one anymore. I decided to leave this bowl here though, because I think this is better than just a big old hole in the dirt. Until we figure out what we're going to do with this space, I'll just leave this here and I will tear this up at some point in the future. But that's all I have time for today. I want to thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Y'all take it easy. Bye now.